Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you'll be listening to a weight loss hypnosis session designed to change the relationship with refined carbohydrates. Now, for those people that aren't familiar with the term refined carbohydrates, it just means that it's gone through some kind of a process, normally to take out all the fiber. So examples of refined carbohydrates are things like bread, biscuits, pastries, the kind of things that are giving you the energy but without the kind of nutrients. So white bread is probably the best example of that kind of refined carbohydrate. White sugar, a great example of a refined carbohydrate, because while you get sweet things like fruit, like a banana or a strawberry, it has the micronutrients and the fibers. But if you just take the sugar element out of, if you think of sugar cane or sugar beet, all the fiber's gone and you're just left with the sugar. That's the ultimate refined carbohydrate. The problem with refined carbohydrates is that it creates an excess of glycogen in the blood, which the body needs to react by releasing a lot of insulin. And the function of insulin has many functions, but one of the functions is to turn the excess energy into stored fat, partly to protect the body, but also as an energy reserve so that you could use that energy for later on. You know, historically, our ancestors used this function to survive famines where there was a lack of actual food around. So any excess fat that was stored while the times were good could be used where the times were bleak and there were a lack of, food around. Back in the hunter-gatherer times, we live in a society, almost all Western societies have infinite food. There is no scarcity of food. There is no famines. Therefore, food becomes quite a coping strategy. And for some people, food can feel like it's a relationship, a dependable source of good feelings. It's always going to be there. They can predict and control what's going to happen and how they're going to feel. In this particular hypnosis session, it's designed to change the relationship with refined carbohydrates, not by saying that it's off limits. In most people, and if you think of the presupposition of most diets, is that there are certain things that you're not allowed. There's certain rules. In my experience as a therapist, that has a counterintuitive effect, a paradox effect, that the moment you say that you're not allowed certain things, the person thinks about that thing more. It's almost like a child, and you say, look, you can eat anything in the kitchen, but don't eat the biscuits, don't eat the cookies in the jar. And that's the one thing they want more than anything else. So we all have this kind of rebellious, defiant inner child in us that wants to kind of do the opposite of what we should. And that's why this particular hypnosis session doesn't say you're not allowed refined carbohydrates. It just says that it follows eating a nutritious meal or doing some kind of physical activity if they want to. And the if they want to is a crucial part of the suggestion, because it's not saying you have to have refined carbohydrates after a meal, or you have to have refined carbohydrates after physical activity. It's just that you can if you want to. What tends to happen is that if you've done something healthy or if you've had a nutritious meal, the very desire goes down to the point where they don't really want to. And the goal is not to eliminate refined carbohydrates, but to reduce significantly and to create new positive relationships with food. If you're listening to this and you feel that you don't have the ideal relationship with food and it's something in your head rather than your knowledge, then there will be a link in the show notes where you can schedule a free consultation call to explore working with me. For now, though, even though some of the references might not connect with you because it was created for someone else, if you want to change your relationship with carbs, and I'm not talking about vegetables here, I'm talking about bread and biscuits and pasta and potatoes and the white carbs, then it might be worth exploring that relationship with me in terms of working with me, but you might also benefit from this session. So find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow feelings of tension or stress to feel like it's leaving your body. As you breathe in, I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a bright, vibrant color, maybe yellow or orange. And as you breathe in, just imagine breathing in that vibrant color that represents resourceful relaxation. And as you exhale, just imagine maybe a dark gray color that represents tension, stress, anxieties leaving your body in your outward breath. And I want you to consider this something like an emotional transfusion. That the resources that you need are going in, and those things that aren't serving you right now are leaving your body in your outward breath. As you breathe in and breathe out, just feel your eyelids getting heavier and heavier. Use the power of your imagination to remember the last time you yawned. Not just any yawn. I want you to remember a long, satisfying yawn. The kind of yawn where you might have stretched alongside it. And notice, even the thought of a yawn releases tension effortlessly and creates a drowsy feeling of pleasant relaxation. And let's harness that feeling of relaxation to imagine a place in nature. I want you to imagine it's a bright sunny day and you can see a hill. Maybe you could imagine the particular shade and color of the grass on that sunny day. And maybe you can imagine the brightness of the blue sky, the occasional fluffy white clouds. And I want you to get a sense as to what it would feel like to breathe in fresh air, maybe to feel the sunshine on your skin. But I want you to imagine you're walking barefoot towards this hill, each footstep connecting with the blades of grass, giving you a powerful feeling of grounding, that somehow the energy within you is connecting with the energy in the ground, the earth beneath you. That static electricity that is sometimes there when you feel a tiny electric shock is all being drained away, and you feel connected with nature, connected with yourself, and connected with the speed of your breath, with the rhythm of your heartbeat. And imagine how good it would feel to just be there in nature, breathing in and breathing out. And perhaps you can still imagine that bright color of resources that you're breathing in. And as you exhale, just imagine those grey, dark colors leaving your body, and they can represent whatever they need to represent to enable you to truly relax. Maybe it's stress. Maybe it's resentment. Maybe frustration. Maybe even a touch of anger. Notice how good it feels to release that. Extend your outward breath so the next inward breath in is a long, deep breath where you are breathing in resourcefulness. The resources of perhaps resilience, positivity, optimism, self-belief. I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine slowly walking up the hill, that you have the resources to overcome a challenge. And maybe it would take 10 or 20 or 30 steps, because this hill is just in your imagination. But when you arrive to the top of the hill, breathing in and breathing out with every footstep, and perhaps you could see the surroundings from the top of the hill. When you arrive at the top, feeling refreshed and relaxed, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to imagine that the top of a hill symbolizes so many things. An accomplishment, but it also represents a vantage point. Why were so many castles and fortresses built on top of hills? Because they could see everything around them. And I want you to get a sense that it's not the towns, the cities, the countryside that you're seeing from this vantage point. It is your own life. In one direction you can see your future, in another direction you can see your past. And from this hill, from this vantage point, perhaps you can see how they all link together. And I want you to gaze into the future and see what happens if things don't change. If certain relationships with food remain as they are, gaze into the future and see what your life looks like. I want you to get a sense that there is nothing you have to do. There are simply things that, if you choose to do them, you get to establish a new framework, a new relationship with yourself, a new way of having things work for you rather than against you. And perhaps from this vantage point, there is one particular relationship that if that changed, so many things in your life would change too. Imagine a child with a toxic friend, constantly encouraging them to do certain things that would lead to a trajectory taking their life in an unpleasant direction. Simply a new relationship or no relationship with that friend would have a powerful positive influence on that child. Look in the direction of your past, and this relationship with this particular type of food has taken you to where you are now. And if you're happy, with where you are now, then there's no need to change any relationship. But if deep down your unconscious would like to change your future by establishing a new relationship that works for you but also meets your needs, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to get a sense that for some people, they already know what they should do, but instead they do what they feel like they need to do. But what if the foundations of what they need to do are based on false logic, false presuppositions? There are many friendships based on a foundation that is fundamentally untrue. And maybe there was a time in your past, and maybe you can even see that time in your past, where those refined carbohydrates like bread and biscuits, ice cream and pastries were the friends you needed when you needed something. And maybe there's a part of you that feels that if it was there for you when you needed it, maybe you owe some kind of loyalty to something that got you through tough times. I want you to thank this food for what it's done for you in the past, but also to highlight you're not the same person that you were. Sometimes we need things in moments of chaos that we don't need when the seasons of our life have changed. I want you to communicate and reassure that part that craves refined carbohydrates that they're not going to be eliminated. They're not going to be cut out entirely. That you just want to establish a new positive relationship with food. And to establish that new relationship, you're going to do something before you eat those refined carbohydrates. And maybe we just call it eating healthy natural foods or doing physical activity. That by doing these things first, what if afterwards the desire to need that same food is diminished, so you get to establish a positive relationship, not a codependent relationship. If your unconscious mind is open to the idea of establishing a new positive win-win relationship that could last forever, let me know by nodding your head. And reassure that part that there is nothing that isn't allowed, simply a framework, a couple of stepping stones that take place before. And in your life, you do this naturally in so many ways. Before you climb into a bath, you pour the water in first. Before you go outside, you wear suitable clothing. And what if, before eating refined carbohydrates, you gave your body the protein and nutrients it needs first? Or gave your body physical activity? Perhaps then afterwards, you could still eat those refined carbohydrates if you wanted, but you may find you don't want them as much. This isn't something new. because you already do this in so many areas of your life naturally. It just naturally follows something else. So imagine barefoot standing on the top of that hill and allow your unconscious mind to be open to new suggestions that could re-establish a new positive relationship with yourself that takes your future into a new direction, a positive direction, an empowered direction. So I want you to imagine feeling deeply satisfied and nourished with every bite of high protein food or vegetables that you take. And maybe you can think of your body as an impressive building, a palace, a temple, where refined carbohydrates are welcomed in balance, following the foundation of a nutritious meal. Feel the powerful energy that pulses through you after eating those protein-rich foods, maybe eggs or a steak, allowing you to enjoy refined carbohydrates as a harmonious complement. Many scientists encourage people to eat the rainbow. All those colorful vegetables with micronutrients, so maybe you can visualize vegetables as those vibrant colors, painting your plate, making the subsequent choice of refined carbohydrates as a mindful, optional decision. Just because you can doesn't mean you have to. And experience the joy of movement. This isn't exercise, it's just movement and activity, knowing that that physical activity opens the door to you choosing refined carbohydrates if you want to and without guilt. Because there is a big difference between choosing to eat refined carbohydrates and feeling like you need to eat refined carbohydrates. I want you to remember those times that you enjoyed good quality steaks, delicious vegetables, having meals that tasted delicious and gave your body what it really needs. Your body needs protein. Your body needs the micronutrients from vegetables. But your body doesn't need energy, because I want you to think of the body fat that you've been storing as energy you've been storing for a rainy day. Carbohydrates is food for energy. And if you eat the energy, then your body can't use the energy you've already conserved. So as you feed your body protein and nutrients, feel like you're lifting an invisibility blanket over all of the energy you've stored in the past, making it usable, feeling your appetite go down. So even though you could eat those refined carbohydrates, it's very possible that you don't even want them. So allow the feeling of vitality from your healthy meal to feel that you don't need any carbohydrates afterwards. Trust your body's wisdom to crave protein and vegetables. And allow yourself to affirm the idea that physical activity is something enjoyable, something that your body starts to think of as something predictable, to start releasing dopamine and serotonin and endorphins into your blood. You don't have to believe in the strength of your willpower. Just accept the idea that you can eat whatever you want after you eat that delicious meal or you do that physical activity. And maybe there will be certain days that you do both. Use the power of your imagination to imagine doing physical activity, maybe using a rowing machine, maybe going for a walk or doing Pilates on a mat, and then afterwards having that protein and vegetable meal, perhaps with half an avocado. And imagine after that meal how badly you would want to eat loads of bread or pastries. And perhaps acknowledge the idea that the desire would be lower, and that's okay. Cherish the feeling of fullness and contentment from healthy foods, knowing that you're training your brain, your body, and your mind to enjoy food that gives rather than takes. I want you to get a sense of your energy levels and think back to all those times that you went from being a zombie to feeling alive based on foods that were naturally low in carbohydrates. That the evidence for your positive feelings already exist within your own experiences. I want you to rejoice in the abundance of choice. There is nothing off limits, simply something delayed, maybe by just half an hour or an hour. But don't be surprised that by delaying, the desire decreases. Let the satisfaction from physical activity be a reward in and of itself. Every time you do something that you haven't done recently or ever will be a source of happy hormones flooding your system, the dopamine of reward, the endorphins of physical activity. The feeling that you've given a gift to yourself will feel like a hug from you to you, releasing all that oxytocin. Feel the harmony in your choices. So there, from that vantage point on the top of the hill, I want you to see a different future. Not the future you've been traveling towards, but a compelling vision of your future, which is infinitely more desirable than where you've been heading. Imagine what you will look like, what it will do for your confidence, your energy levels. Perhaps how it could avoid an undesirable future outcome simply because you're no longer traveling in that direction anymore. And if you can see that compelling vision of your future that feels so much more desirable than where you were heading, let me know by nodding your head. Let's use a magic wand to create the what-if frame. Let's look at an idea that if you were able to change your relationship with certain foods, somehow there would be a hidden passage that would enable you to follow a pathway in a different direction. And just imagine that you found that way. And let's follow that future. See that healthier, happier, more confident version of you. And when you can see that big, bright and vivid, let me know by nodding your head. And then step into that version of you. Feel how good it would feel to be this person. And know that bread and pastries still exist in your life, but you now have a take it or leave it attitude rather than a dependency on them. And food, much like people, that when you become dependent on them, they can take advantage of that dependency. That when you don't need them, somehow you value them more. And if you feel like that future version of you has a better relationship with food, let me know by nodding your head. And then all we have to do is to find the hidden passage towards this future. The ideal combination lock. The ideal balance of choices and behaviors that give you everything that refined carbohydrates was giving you before, but in a way that serves you rather than hinders you. I want you to plant the seed of an idea in your mind that over the next few weeks, you will discover what this hidden passage is. You will find a solution, an epiphany, an insight that suddenly makes it all so obvious as to how to get the best of both worlds, to have your needs met while simultaneously taking you towards that desirable future. And you don't have to know it immediately, just accept the idea that your unconscious will reveal it to you. And when it does, it will all make sense. Feel like you're returning to the top of the hill with a clear idea of where you want to get to, even if you're not entirely sure how to get there. Breathe in and breathe out. And feel like you're returning to the present, but with a new insight, a new strategy, a new way that you're willing to work with yourself to delay the gratification of refined carbohydrates, to build new neural pathways, to help find a secret passage to a desirable future. Breathing in and breathing out, returning to the present, as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.